Hello! So, I had this footage lying around from last summer where I tried out Daiso watercolors, which I believe were like $1.50 for all of these colors, and I figured I'd actually turn it into a video since we're all stuck at home. So, here's the palette. I think the plastic came in a few different colors if you're interested in being aesthetic. But yeah, it came with one of these brushes that just feels like a broom, like the worst plasticky, I don't know, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've ever had like children's watercolor. And yeah, they're obviously pretty chalky. They transfer onto fingers because they're so cheap. That green one's pretty horrible with the transferring, but I just wanted to see if I could make them work and actually sort of test my ability to not rely on supplies to do the work for me. Yeah, here's my setup, and I figured I'd swatch them all first before starting my painting just to see, you know, what I was getting myself into with these. So I have some like cheap watercolor paper. I think that came in like a kid's set as well. Starting out with these swatches, I didn't wet all the paints first, and you can see that initially the swatches are pretty bad. I mean, the paint is separating and it's quite grainy, and you know, all the things you would expect from like very chalky paints. You can see it pretty well with this one. I guess that's supposed to be like a skin color or something, I don't know. But here's the hack with really cheap chalky paints is if you spray them all down first, you get exponentially better color payoff. So, you know, if you have one of these lying around at home from when you were a kid, that's sort of the hack. Yeah, so you can see that a lot better with the orange, how much flatter the washes are and how much better color payoff I'm getting. The colors in this set aren't like all so unique. Like obviously the oranges are pretty similar, like the yellows are pretty similar. Like one doesn't really look cooler than the other, but whatever. Like I don't even think I really used all of the colors. I think I ended up using just a few and then mixing. And then here you can see that they don't blend that well, but like you can work with it. Using my Cotman palette as a stand because I also think that those are quite overrated paints. I mean, maybe unpopular opinion, but they were so popular probably like 5 years ago, and they're just compared to other paints in the same price range that I've tried. So I decided to use the orange. That was my swatch that I thought looked really nice and that I slowed down earlier. Just because I sketched an orange and I wanted that to sort of mesh together, but as well, I just thought that that color laid down pretty nicely in comparison to the others. But here you can see that it dries down a lot less vivid. My camera went out of focus, I'm sorry. Apparently I shoot worse footage with a nice camera than I do with my cell phone. So excuse me while I figure that out. I swear it goes back into focus. But yeah, so here I'm just trying to lay down some shadows for the skin, and I decided to go in with blue since it's the complementary color of orange, and I obviously want to work with a limited palette here since I don't want to muddy these colors up by mixing too many of them together, and I just feel like that would be bad. So yeah, I'm like, obviously her outfit's very summery because I drew this originally in the middle of summer, but it's almost a year old now, I guess. Maybe it's relevant again. Yeah, you can see I use my hairdryer to dry my layers in between since I'm the sort of watercolor painter that likes to work in layers. I'm just trying to define more and layer up. The texture, honestly, it's sort of cool. Like I know that it's like super chalky, but to some degree it does add like an interesting grain. I wouldn't say that these granulate at all like professional watercolors do, but like they do add a texture. And maybe it's like a vintage look with all the faded colors. I don't know. I mean, you can work with them to some degree. Would I recommend these paints? Likely not if you have other options at your disposal, but I mean, they do paint, they do lay down color, and they're pretty fun to use. And it is like that sort of thing where because they're so cheap, like you can do whatever you want with them, and you don't have to be precious with them at all. So yeah, here I'm trying to layer up more. I mean, it wasn't like the worst experience. If I was careful, I could layer It wasn't like lifting past layers, but obviously the color just gets very grainy and a little bit dusty. You can see that on like the side palette, I'm mostly just working with the primaries, and then orange, I think, was what I added. I'm mixing my own blacks with the red and the green that are on the top row, and I think I added some blue to that too, actually. But I tried to find a red and green that were the most similar to alizarin crimson and viridian, which is what I normally use to mix black. And yeah, I just tried to define it more. I actually don't hate how this came out. I think it's sort of like almost like putting a filter over your try, or your painting, I mean, in the sense that it sort of just gets like muted. The brushes I'm using, I forgot to mention, are also from Daiso. I think it comes in a pack of 5 or 4 for $150, and I actually really like these brushes. I use them all the time with better watercolors even. They're synthetic. So here I started just messing around by adding a few things. I used a pink colored pencil to add blush because I thought layering pink watercolor might be too risky. And then I started going in with a red pen just to add more definition because these paints are a little too like grainy to get fine detail. So yeah, I mean, you can use whatever pen. I just literally didn't have any other red pens besides the Micron, but yeah, I've lined with gel pens in the past and stuff. Whatever office supplies, you know, because it's on top of the watercolor, so it doesn't matter if it's waterproof or not. If you have anything laying around the house that you previously thought, ugh, or if you have anything laying around the house that you previously didn't want to use, but you're bored now, might as well give it a try. It could be fun, even just to see, like, it can't really hurt you. Maybe I'll start actually filming some of the more recent paintings I've been working on and doing some maybe quarantine studio vlogs or something, since I've been working a lot towards my senior portfolio. Subscribe if you want to see more of anything like this. I swear I'll post actual paintings and not $1 watercolor challenges. And yeah, thanks for watching.